Welcome back to the SciPod. I'm really excited to be in round two, technically, today with a friend of the show, a friend of Silver Creek Insights in a big way, Felisa Fee Wiley. Fee is, I'd say, a technologist, a founder. She's somebody who loves to build. She loves to be on teams, a social person who really brings people together. So, Fee, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jack. Super happy to be here and glad we got to getting to do this.
Yeah. The last year, a lot has happened in the world politically, in our lives. How's 2025 Q1 treating you so well?
I mean, it's been crazy. There's been a lot of roadblocks, but been a lot of like inspiration. In the midst of all like the craziness of the world, I always try to figure out like what can I do to make the best of it, and what can I just do to bring myself some like happiness and joy. So like rejoining Silver Creeks is one of them. Getting to work with Daniel, getting to work with you, bringing people together, and
Yeah,
just
great.
building and just like focusing on what I can control.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are feeling stressed out right now. The economy happens to be down. Politics is always an issue. Sometimes we don't get what we want to get in our lives at the right time, which is kind of why I wanted to talk about PausePoint with you. I think I know this for myself. I'm terrible at like prioritizing getting to base level. I'm pretty good about praying. I've become like a big prayer, and it's hugely helpful. But even going a step further and really like resting with your thoughts, it's hard to sort of make time for that in our day. And just to couch it, I live in Tanzania, as you know, and right now it's Ramadan, and I'm always in such admiration of how my Muslims they schedule prayer, they schedule time to submit and worship, and I think it enriches their society and deepens their culture, strengthens people tremendously. But us Westerners, we're like pulling our hair out and always in chaos. So what's pause point?
Yeah, so first of all, I agree with you. It is really hard to like stay centered and grounded amidst all the noise that's going on. Like we are over inundated with articles with like, oh, this just happened. There was another helicopter accident. RIP to everyone who's like had to deal with that. But it's like there's so much, and we as humans, our brains have not evolved to take in as much input as we
Mm.
currently have to deal with in this modern world. So I coded up the back end of PausePoint. It's like my baby. It's a mindfulness scheduler, and right now it is connected to Google's Calendar. So you literally go in, you connect it to your calendar, and it looks at your schedule and it finds the best time for a pause.
Hmm.
And you can choose whether or not you want to do one pause a day, two times a two times a day for 1 minute, 15 minutes, whatever floats your boat. But it finds time for you and it sends you a little notification and it just reminds you to tune out and to reclaim your time.
It's like beautiful and important. And I think it'll, not to be cheesy, but that will make the world a better place in a big way, you
I
know?
agree. I've always said that if people just took the time to have more times of reflection, have more times of silence, focus on themselves, do like meditation, do yoga, pray, do whatever you need to do, but take that time, the world would be a much better place. Like people need to learn how to regulate their emotions, but in order to do that, you have to get in tune with your emotions. And I'm really excited to continue growing PausePoint. I'm currently working on connecting it with the Microsoft API, so I could have like a multi-calendar integration. Think of like Calendly, where you could put all of your calendars together and schedule meetings, but you could schedule
Yeah.
PausePoint.
Yeah.
And then I want to create like an enterprise dashboard where like corporations, those that preach like, hey, we care about our employees like mental health and wellness. It's like, okay, show it, do something about it.
That's awesome. Like, talk a little bit more about how did you teach yourself to build Pause Point? Because lots of people have been on the couch and be like, dude, we should make an app that, and then you did it.
Yeah. That's the thing with me. It's like I have an idea and then I get obsessed with it and then I build it. So
Mhm.
I'm a self-taught programmer, I'm a self-taught data analyst, I'm a self-taught data engineer. And I was actually inspired to build PausePoint because I was at the company I worked for. They had a wellness day, and in this wellness day, they sat us down like 200 people, and they were preaching to us about the importance of like taking breaks. And in my head, I was like, okay, we could literally have had the day off if you care about our mental health and wellness. Why are you preaching to me? Just give me
Yeah.
back like 10 minutes. And then I was like, oh, that would be fun to code. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, how do I do this? And then I started playing around. I'd never worked with like Google Calendar APIs before. And I started playing around with like cloud databases. And I was like, oh, this is fun. And you just like read the documentation, you plug things in. For me, it's just like a puzzle. And it's like, how do I figure this out? And then the more I did it for myself, I was like, wait, I think others can use it too. So the biggest challenge for me was I've only done back end. I know how to make things work. I don't know how to make things pretty. And I've never made anything consumer facing. So I then had to like find like a front end developer and now like collaborate. And like I really like learned like all aspects of the business, like UI, UX design, like why you have to do grayscale, like all of like the tiny little things that make a website so like special and cool. I started learning about, but it's really just like for me, I wanted this to be for myself for a project, and then I realized that it would be beneficial to others, and it's just like feel now how do I expand on that and make it able to grow?
Yeah, it's people sometimes separate like business and technology, like okay, you're building an app, but to me it's not that much different than like Rick Rubin in the studio with a band. Like you need to be able
Mhm.
to make some noises and make it
Yeah.
work and get in tune with your band, and then you put something out there and you hope that you'll get some fans, that people will be into what you're doing. And but I do think this is true of like every company in the world. You are just a garage band at some stage trying to figure out how to make what people want. And good good on you for
It's
like making your vision come true.
Thank you. And I'm happy to announce that we've just hit 1,000 subscribers. And by the way, this is
Okay.
me. I'm bootstrapping this. So it's like I
Okay.
have a very small marketing budget. I've been applying to grants and whatnot. And I hit 1,000 subscribers. And I'm so excited just for that 1,000 because I know that if I have 1,000, I could eventually get two. And if I could get 2,000, then I could grow it to five. And then once I grow it to five, like the sky's the limit. And I'm so grateful for every single like website visit, anyone who just clicks like connect. It's so it's a beautiful feeling knowing that like others are impacted. And I have some customers who have like emailed me about like changes, and like so I take their feedback. So for instance, Daniel
Mm.
was the one who told me that I should add in like 1 and 3 minute breaks, and then I should be able to have like a morning, afternoon, and evening portion. And I took his feedback and I just applied it. And the same thing for like other customers who've reached out to me. It's like, I want to make this something that you want to use, so like tell me what I need to do and I'll like fix it. And let's see what else is. Oh, and then our newsletter, we also are currently at 3,000 subscribers for that. So it's like I know that there's a community. I know that there are people who want to apply this in their lives, and I now know that there are people who are actually applying.
That's that 1,000 true fans tipping point idea, right? Like you hit it, you're there, and it's true. Like I've had a company that once we hit 1,000, it blew open. So
I'll take my fingers.
you're on the tipping point now. Can I give you an idea? I'm sorry. I
Yes,
haven't even used PausePoint yet, but like
give me an
um,
idea.
part of the reason the meditation or getting grounded is so important is so that you become less reactive, right? And a little
Mhm.
bit more like, what's the opposite of reactive? Proactive?
Proactive,
Yeah,
maybe.
sure, basically. But I think there's, sorry, I have a 2 year old and a 4 year old, and I could be very reactive when they're just running around shouting. And if there was a way for parents in particular to make a pause point in their day for just 2 3 minutes and get back into it, I could see you niching this for different types
Mhm.
of the chaos in our lives, you know. And
Yeah.
parents, they've got some
Parents need
chaos.
it too. I'm sure I could
Yeah.
figure out something to do for parents and maybe even like for kids. Like I've been at the
Yeah.
yoga studio that I go to, they're now starting to offer like yoga classes for children. And I think that's so beautiful. So I will definitely brainstorm ways to like make PausePoint more inclusive to parents because you can't schedule like time to feed baby in your calendar, right? But if I'll try to brainstorm ways to make it more inclusive for parents and also like PausePoint for kids, something cute, something the little kitties can enjoy. Maybe it's like watching like a sheep bounce across a screen for like
Sure.
30
Yeah.
seconds. That was their 30-second of focus or mindfulness. I don't know. I'll think of something though.
Just a suggestion, but yeah, those are good ideas. And like, oh my God, how appealing that is to a parent. Like, it's a pause point. We get to just
We could
pause.
get literally get a break.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Um,
parents do it sometimes.
you'll figure it out. It happens. Maybe whatever you want. I don't know you that well, but I do know that in this age of AI, you have started writing a book. Is that because you want ChatGPT to write a book, or do you have something
No,
unique to say?
no. So actually, my book isn't about AI. It's about mindfulness and how we can all incorporate it into our lives. And I'm co-writing it with a therapist that I actually interviewed for my podcast. And we just had great synergy. And we know, like you were saying earlier, the world is crazy. There's far too much going on, and people need to really learn how to emotionally regulate and take back and reclaim their own control. So this book is about showing ways that you can be more like mindful in every aspect of your life. Because I've
Mm,
interviewed like I've interviewed like a mindfulness coach for law enforcement. I've interviewed like therapists. I've interviewed parents who have incorporated mindfulness in their own lives. I've interviewed like authors and just like regular everyday people. And mindfulness is all inclusive. There's no like one size fits all bucket, but everyone can practice this. However, I'm not using AI to write it. I actually am using my own voice. I have so much that I want to say, and also what I'm doing is I'm taking the content that I've already recorded from my podcast, and now I'm writing reflections on that. So
mm,
the interviews, that was me with the guest, and now I'm just like reflecting on it. So it's all me, all my
yeah,
voice. I'm not opposed to using AI. I think that AI is really amazing, but this book is so personal to me that I wanted to be my voice. And if I could
yeah,
throw in like AI, like help me create like a good introduction to like this chapter, sure, cool.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the majority of it will be me.
Yeah, I think it's putting soul in writing that continues to stick out. And I don't know if it's just because I know AI writing is AI writing, and I'm like, if no person took time to think of this, do I actually want to give it this much attention? But I've also found it a very handy editor. Like if I write a 2 or 3 page investment brief, and then I'm like, oh, that's a stupid sentence. Just plug it in here, and it's all so neat. So I don't know. In some ways, it's such a good editor that it might
Mhm.
take away the rough edges, which
I love the rough edges. Those are what makes you
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I love it.
So
But I agree. It's a great editor. Like I've used ChatGPT like for a lot of the documentation, like the technical documentation that I write for my jobs. Yes.
yeah, totally.
Plug that in. It's so nice. It creates a great readme. I am so not opposed to it at all. But and because that's because like it's one when it comes to like coding, it's such like a there's a formula for it. It's such an easy language for a computer to understand as opposed to my voice and my tone and my inflections and my the way I have like a question mark at the end like that you
Mm,
can't emulate or like replicate in an AI chatbot. That's two completely different like languages.
for sure. Yeah. Have you experimented with like Cursor for any of your back end building?
Yes, I have. I love it, but I also don't. Like I love so
Mm,
Cursor is great because it kind of already knows what you want to do, which I appreciate. But sometimes I want to do that. Don't tell me what I want to write. I know
mm,
I need to get there. And what's fun about coding for me is it's a mystery. There's a puzzle that, and I have to solve it. And I get to use my brain and I get to figure it out. And I get to go through that documentation and I get to do like research and go to Stack Overflow and like go to Reddit to see what other people have run into issues with. And in that process and doing all those steps, I'm also learning. So like I don't want to scapegoat when and use like ChatGPT or like Cursor
yeah.
for all of like my issues. However, when I do hit a roadblock, let's see what it comes up with. And
Mm,
actually, ChatGPT now has a deep research button, and it
mhm.
also pulls in information from Reddit and Stack Overflow, which is great. So it does all that research for me, but I learn best by doing and I'm a lifelong learner. So sometimes I do take the long road a little bit, but I think it'll benefit me in the long run.
Yeah, I like focusing just on the writing side here. I'm somebody who tried to be a writer for like years of his life, and like it's the work of it, I think, was really good for me in finding my own voice
Mhm.
and limits and like defining who I am and expanding my vocab. Um, and I'm worried about like the next generation for whom, like, why would I write a 5 paragraph essay? Why would I do the work of coding, which is like problem solving on this deep
Yeah.
level? And it all is sort of problem solving, writing, coding. And so I worry if they're going to become like that. Maybe they'll become much stronger and more effective humans, but maybe they'll become too dependent.
Also scared for the next generation. I just feel like we have to adapt. Like, for instance, instead of having like students in college or in their undergrad write like an essay, why not have one-on-one student time and
Yeah.
talk to them and have them like talk about what they've learned and try to like get them to use their own words like in that session to actually gauge like, well, are you paying attention in class? Like, if you know that they could like cheat, quote unquote, using ChatGPT or an easy way, like figure out a way. I hope that AI encourages students and people to learn how to use their voice more, and to be better at like public speaking. Stop, get away from
Mm,
writing, learn how to speak, and that's how you'll know. Like you actually
mm.
like know. That's how you'll know that you're like a subject expert, quote unquote. It's like how well can you speak about it? How much can you go in detail without having your computer nearby? Like what do you know off the top of your head? And of course they can do like the research beforehand and like memorize, but when you put people in a hot spot for a certain amount of time, you can see through their cracks.
Yeah, yeah, that's really insightful. That's kind of an answer to my question there because I've been just like flummoxed as to what college will be or if it needs to be at all. But like, I do think um, what you're paying for should be your development as a person.
Mhm.
Like these professors who like bring the best out of you, challenge you, and you can still do that. It just needs to be a different, like, more one-on-one. Like in a company, you're going to have access to the all those tools. You need to be somebody that can have an EQ, that speaks well, that like is reliable. There's a bunch of human cues that need to be forged in college or just education. I mean, but yeah,
No, absolutely. And even in the workplace, I actually just read an article that someone used AI to scam their way into a job. Like they had like an AI head and they were typing out what it needs to say and they got hired by the company. And now they're like, oh no, this is not a real person, which is like absolutely insane to like think about. But that, and that I feel like we're going to go into a different topic, like remote work right now.
yeah,
There are so many like negatives with remote work for companies that I can see now with like AI, but also I'm such a proponent for remote work because if you put me in an office, I will be at the water cooler talking. And that's just like
hmm
it. I'm a chatty Cathy. I get easily distracted at home. Like my productivity increases. And like, you know what? I know I'm a real person. So like I know like but like what do the companies, how do they gauge like whether or not that they're dealing with like a real candidate or like a real employee who actually knows what they're talking about? So it's like what I know what colleges should do, what companies should do about this. I have no idea. That's on them.
yeah. I found that always with devs. They're like, "Why do I have to come to the office? I like work really good at 3 a.m." I'm like, "I think you
Honestly,
do."
Honestly, wait, no. Sometimes I wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and I get an idea and I just like start coding it because I can't get it out of my head. So like
Yeah.
yes, I it's so nice. It's great. Don't foresee myself going back into the office. I won't. I'll do whatever I
It's
have.
yeah, yeah. I think there's no need. Though I think the water cooler is important, and I think offsites are important. To be honest, it depends on your function. I get some energy from other people, but I'm more of a manager, so
Okay.
not doing like trying to do some deep work each day. But I really just need to be chatting with people. Um, so Silver Creek Insights. You've been working on and off with the company for a few years. Describe why. What's the benefit for companies that are looking to improve their data analytics?
With Silver Creek, we have like a full team. Like we are ready. Whenever you say go, we're in your system. We're trying to figure out what's going on. We're meeting with teams. We're figuring out like issues, whether or not there's like inefficiencies, and we're here to just like go in. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're trying to fine tune it. And we're trying to make sure that you're getting all the data, making sure it's accurate, and then making sure it's presented in a way. So we do everything from like data ingestion to like data warehouse and to also like data analytics. So full course. We offer the
Yeah.
full course menu.
Aside from Daniel, who's your favorite team member?
Ooh, aside from Daniel.
Probably not
Okay.
Daniel, anyways.
Ooh, let's see. Honestly, okay. You met Ben and Gordon, right?
Yeah, of course.
Hmm. Okay. Can I say both Ben and Gordon?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Both
Ben is
Ben.
the Seattle data guy. He's a bit of a
Yeah.
brand and earned this brand in a big way. I
Hmm.
think I've watched him step in on teams, and he's very quiet. Is the thing. He's a listener, and still waters run deep. And you wouldn't expect that from a guy who's got like killer like LinkedIn following, right? He's a bit of an influencer in the data world. But
Yeah,
I
which
think
is
it's just because he takes such an analytical approach to just like, now I will post this, now I post this. But really, he's just a deep worker. So
yeah.
that's my
No,
take on
Ben
him.
Ben is great. It was actually so funny. When I was first in a meeting with Ben, he was kind of mean to me. And I was like, no. And I felt so hurt. 'Cause I was like, no, I have so much like energy and enthusiasm to bring to the team. And then he finally like warmed up to me. I think with Ben, it's like I had to prove that like, hey, I could actually do it. I'm not just like another like head that's gonna come in
Yeah.
and like lead the team. And honestly, like we worked well together. It's like, can you figure he had his niche, and he was really good at it. He's so smart and so brilliant. He has his focus, which is really like I think for the last client we worked on, he focused a lot on data ingestion and connecting the pipelines and making sure they were like optimized and flowing smoothly. And then I worked on like creating tables, optimizing that, and making sure that like dashboards were like flowing. So we had our own niches, and we were able to like coexist really, really well. So it worked.
So aside from you, Gordon is the best podcast guest we've had on the show. And I say I'm you know, but he is the definition of like a senior engineer to me. And when I say that because like he's an authority, he's seen it
Mhm.
before, like he's scaled startups through like all sorts of data for the biggest companies in the world. And like he brings you a sense of calmness. Like you've got
Mhm.
all this stuff to figure out. And he's able to take that like, I don't know, 10,000-foot view and just put the pieces together and get everything in order and working. And that's why he kind of makes a great interview as well, is he's has that effect on you in your life. So he's just such a pleasure to talk to.
He really, really is. And I think that's why he's like, he's a great, like a great leader. As you were just saying, he zooms out and is able to see like the picture as a whole. And I think that's why like we were all able to work so well together. We had Gordon at the top, high level overview of what needs to happen. We have like Ben making sure that all the ingestions, and then me like day to day, like making sure like the clients working, like doing okay, making sure the teams have had like trainings on like the new dashboards. And it was like it was a perfect upside down triangle with the three of us. So it really, really worked out well.
Yeah, yeah. And I won't say the name of that telecom, but they all loved working with the trio, the Three Musketeers there. So you guys did an excellent job.
Thank
And
you.
okay, let's talk some shit about Daniel Pham. You know, I grew up with him.
No, you
He
didn't. I
lived.
didn't know that.
Oh, we've been friends since 1991. We were
I
playing
didn't know that.
with Ninja Turtles. One time he punched me in the face when we were 9 years old. It's just boom, boom, boom. Like we were really going at
Did
it.
you deserve it?
Excuse me?
Would you deserve it?
Well, yeah, we'd been playing football and I cranked the football and it whacked him in the back of the head. And so, yeah, I started it and he finished it.
That's funny. Wait, so
Yeah.
you grew up in Denver then?
Yeah, in Fort Collins, Colorado. And we grew up on
Okay.
Silver Creek Drive, hence the
Is that
name
where the
Silver
name
Creek
came
Insights. Yeah, yeah.
from?
So
Wow.
you know, he was always a straight A student. When we were like 12, school started getting hard. Girls
Mhm.
started developing. There was all these interesting things in the world. He was getting a 4.0. I was getting like a 1.5 at the time. Like I just could not figure out how to keep up. And it was funny, like 30 years later, maybe it's 20 years later, seeing Daniel found this company. He founded it, A, because he cares so much about improving the way consulting works. He's, you know, built
Mhm.
his career in data consulting and he cares that the client gets the value and he knows how to remove all the bullshit. And I enjoyed seeing this man on a mission there, like talking about how important it is to transform companies to operate better and how we could deliver a better service. And then seeing how organized and like 4.0 GPA he still is just made me happy. I was like, cool. I'm thrilled that I get to be around you. So
That's
that's Daniel.
amazing. I didn't know that backstory, but thank you for sharing. No, Daniel's been great. I met him in Mexico City a couple years ago, and it was just like, and then I came back a year later. We grabbed coffee because he was always just like a good spirit, and like I just love
Yeah.
like good people. So like I don't care what you do if you're a good person, like let's be
Yeah.
friends. We met up for coffee and we just started talking about like work. I didn't know what he was doing, and I told him that I was doing like data analytics and data engineering. He was like, "Oh, I could use that right now."
Perfect.
And then
Yeah.
it happened. And honestly, I love working with people that I know personally because I saw his passion, I saw his enthusiasm. And he's also just like he's good at building, scaling, and he really he does care about consulting and he does care about the clients. And he really ensures that they're taken care of, his team's taken care of, and that at the end of the day, we're all happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. So, okay, I have to go over what the hell is the eggless economy? I don't get it.
um, I've 3D printed eggs. It's my conceptual art project. It was inspired by the bird flu, and it's my way to reimagine like the story of an egg. So like an egg, an everyday product. Now 3D printed. I have a 3D printer right now. It's actually running. I have the mini versions. It comes in like this gold color, matte black, and white. And then I have this is a prototype. It's not finished. This is my 7-inch egg. It's very,
Glorious.
very large. This will be in matte black, but like imagine this in like
Yeah.
gold.
Oh, that's
And it's just like
it. I actually think it's very good decor. It's got
it's
elegance to
decor.
it.
It's decor. And then I also have this is my latest like prototype. I have a couple of baby showers and baby birthdays to go to this year. So I made like an egg baby rattler.
Nice.
I've literally just been it's absurd. It's like think of like Silicon Valley meets like Dadaism. Are you familiar with Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like absurd art. And that's what I
Yeah.
want.
There's a humor to it.
There's
I
also
like.
like that.
I think when you go through an art museum, it's okay to chuckle at pieces and just like, a lot of times there's a sense of humor and lightness behind the things. I think of like Rene Magritte or I don't really know any Dadaist artists, but like I get it. I'm learned. Um, but yeah, okay, that's cool. So where can people find these eggs? Where can people find PausePoint?
So eggless economy, you could find these eggs at egglesseconomy.com. I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm also going to start a newsletter where I basically have like existential, philosophical, like monthly like blasts. So if you want to sign up for that, just go to the website and like submit your contact information. PausePoint can be found on pausepoint.io. And there's also a newsletter that goes out bi-weekly.
Sweet. I'm going to follow Eggless Economy on Twitter, and I have like ridiculously high expectations. I want it to be absurd.
So speaking of AI, I actually coded an AI agent for X/Twitter using ChatGPT. So I don't actually personally send out any of those tweets. It's all an AI
Huh.
agent. I'm currently working on one for LinkedIn, but the LinkedIn API is a little bit trickier. But also there's so many social sites right now. There's Blue Sky, there's Threads.
Mhm.
Um, gosh, I feel like I'm missing like 5 others. But as soon as I
TikTok.
figure out the AI agents for those, like I am going to automate that 100%.
So, okay, I'm curious. Do you drive sales through these AI agents?
Well, no, it's just for posting content. So
Okay. Okay.
I guess economy just it was inspired by the bird flu and I just like officially launched the website like last week. So I'm just getting ramped up on all of my socials. So I have, I think, like 2 followers on Eggless Economy. One is for me and one is PausePoints, which is also me. So not driving sales yet. I'll keep you updated one day, I hope, but I first need to just get content out there. We are starting
Yeah, I
from
get
zero.
it. Yeah, that's the way it is. I'm actually about to start something kind of similar myself. I have a friend who is a Maasai warrior. He is married to my friend from New York and they live around the corner. Wonderful guy named Paul. And I don't know if you know what the Maasai warriors look like, but they're like the epitome of like African tribesmen. And they wear these beautiful shukas and bangles. And I really think there's a way to like find a niche market for Paul's look. And
Oh, okay.
also, he's just a thoughtful, fascinating guy. So I'm going to try and build, I think we're going to call it Rock Masai, but maybe we can do a crossover with a 3D printed egg and a Maasai warrior egg. I don't know. We'll see.
Listen, if you could send me like a picture of what that egg looks like, I could absolutely start prototyping it. Listen,
Sweet.
I have printed maybe like 40 to 50 egg prototypes. Like a lot of them have failed. I've been obsessed with eggs. Like I'm
Okay. 4 a.m, waking up, mad scientist
literally,
printing eggs.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is my laboratory. But yes, I'm absolutely down for that. I think there's an interesting thought there.
I have a libertarian friend who got me into Bitcoin a long time ago, so I owe him a debt of gratitude there. He taught me about the Federal Reserve and printing money, and he is a libertarian too. And so I got him a mug. He lives in San Francisco that says, "Print guns, not money." And he was saying how many dates that ruins for him, where like he'll be trying to be kind of like a liberal San Francisco guy, and then people like, print guns, not money. Anyways, it's a bit edgy, and
Why can't it be something simpler like print? Actually, I would prefer
eggs.
printed money, honestly. I don't like we've already had like inflation. How much worse could inflation get? Actually, I should knock on wood with that.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was fun, Fee. I really appreciated getting to step into what you're working on and sharing that with everybody. Second of many conversations. So, cheers.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Jack. I'm glad we were finally able to do this. And I'm so excited to be back on the Silver Creek team and continue pushing and finding clients and also working on the podcast and like shuffling around guests and just getting to know more people in the tech space. I think we're gonna have a lot of like interesting conversations and meet a lot of cool people. And I think what we're doing is awesome. Silver Creek is awesome. We're cool.
Heck yeah. Couldn't agree more. Thanks. All right. That's it for the show.